exhibit at litrato ng Federation of Free Farmers. Mga kababayan, ang Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Manatili po tayong nakatayo para sa pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Hayang magiging, telas ng sinamalan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay, upang hinirang, kuyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ang pangaw, ay hinatang tula, awit sa pagkayang minamahal, ang isang ng pagkawat mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may di matitindig, lumalang araw ng ating pagsinta, buhay natin sa piling mo, ang ligaya na pantay mamami, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Maaari na po tayong umupo. Magandang umaga at malugod po namin kayong binabati sa ika-70 anibersaryo ng Federation of Free Farmers. Para simulan ng ating programa, inaanyayahan po natin si President and Chairman Leonardo Montemayor ng Federation of Free Farmers upang magbigay ng kanyang pambungad na mensahe.
Mr. President, His Excellency Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., Secretary of Agrarian Reform, Conrado M. Estrella III, other distinguished representatives of government, the leaders and members of the Federation of Free Farmers, led by our President, Joscoro Granada, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We are gathered here to celebrate the existence of the Federation of Free Farmers since its founding during the Feast of Christ the King on October 25, 1953. Today, the FFF stands proud as the oldest existing national organization of small farmers and rural workers in the country. For the nation to achieve lasting development and peace, the FFF's founding fathers dedicated themselves to enabling the rural masses organize and unshackle themselves from poverty and injustice in its many forms. They drew inspiration from Catholic social teachings, which were the bedrock of the FFF's extensive education program for farmers and various sectors, such as students and the youth, the religious, professionals, and civil servants. The FFF Constitution emphasizes its role as the voice of farmers and as their bridge to government. From the presidency of Ramon Magsaysay to the present, the FFF has helped formulate and enact major laws, policies, and programs on agrarian reform and rural development. It has assisted tens of thousands of peasants with their agrarian problems, farm production, livelihood, and other issues. The presence of His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos on this occasion is deeply gratifying. The history of the FFF is intertwined with that of the Marcoses, including President Bongbong, Senator Amy, and Mrs. Imelda Romualdez Marcos, who were my colleagues in Congress. From 1968 to 1975, President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. attended the annual national conventions of the FFF, starting with our mass actions in Malacanang Freedom Park in 1968 and the marathon pickets at the Agrifina Circle in 1969, in the old Congress building in 1971, President Marcos Sr. never flinched from his sworn duty to face his constituents and act decisively on their concerns. During martial law, the FFF maintained its critical collaboration with him. This resulted in significant laws that, among others, expanded the scope of land reform not only in tenanted agricultural lands, but also in public lands suitable for social forestry, and in urban areas for poor landless residents therein. These reforms were buttressed by presidential decrees and issuances establishing support services programs for agricultural credit, irrigation, marketing support, and crop insurance, to name a few. Of late, the strong political will of our incumbent president and Congress ensured the passage of the new Agrarian Emancipation Act and the increased budget for agriculture and fisheries. I will be remiss by not acknowledging the FFF's productive relationship with Secretary Conrado M. Estrella III of the Department of Agrarian Reform and his grandfather, Conrado F. Estrella Sr., who served as the first DAR Secretary from 1971 to 1986. In closing, allow me to convey a special greeting to our co-workers in the Free Farmers Movement since the late 1960s. Although some decided to pursue their own pathways later, we never doubted your sincerity and readiness to serve the poor and the oppressed. The FFF will forever remember your contributions. As we move on to the next 70 years and beyond, let us all take to heart the President's call for national unity. Kung sama-sama, tayo'y magtatagumpay. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Chairman Montemayor. Sa puntong ito, inaanyayahan po namin ang lahat na ituon ang inyong atensyon sa screen para panoorin ang audiovisual presentation ng Federation of Free Farmers.
Beloved tiller of the soil, you are the most important worker in the country. You are the backbone of the nation. If you are sick, the nation cannot be healthy. If you are a slave, the nation cannot be free. Farmers of the Philippines, unite. United, you can lift your eyes with hope, for the future is in your hands. The Federation of Free Farmers, or FFF, emerged during a time of social turbulence. The country was beset with a communist-led insurgency and widespread labor and agrarian unrest. The FFF was organized in 1953 by a group of Catholic laymen led by Jeremias U. Montemayor, who, ironically, came from a landlord family in Pangasinan. In organizing the FFF, they emphasized on the need for it to be an organization of farmers and not merely a non-farmer organization for farmers. The FFF's adherence to a unique Filipino Christian ideology rooted on Catholic social teachings, set them apart from other groups. The FFF's social analysis saw the farmers bondage to the soil as the root of all the country's ills, and it sought to help liberate him through agrarian or land reform. The FFF grew rapidly and had expanded from Luzon to Visayas and Mindanao by the mid-1960s. They conducted massive and nationwide organization and education efforts to train its educator organizers and to orient and motivate the farmers to fight for their rights. They provided legal aid to thousands of farmers, spearheaded mass political actions, put up their own radio shows and newspaper, set up a charity foundation. They even offered drama writing, acting, and production for farmers. From one organization, the FFF soon gave rise to other distinct entities, such as the Federation of Free Farmers Cooperatives, Inc., and its youth arm, the Junior Free Farmers. It even launched a women's group called the Dilag ng Kalipunan. As many as 86 priests were scattered all over the country serving as FFF chaplains. The FFF was even recognized by the Vatican. Militant youth organizations gave the FFF active support, particularly in its mass actions. They also gained support from students, professionals, government workers, and other labor leaders. The reputation and prestige of the FFF also extended well beyond Philippine borders, and it became associated with many prestigious international organizations. The FFF achieved progress on many fronts, but it was slow and certainly not easy. Many leaders and members faced hunger, torture, incarceration, and even death. Up to that point, the FFF, together with other present organizations, had been instrumental in the enactment of practically all the relevant laws and regulations on agrarian reform since the presidency of Magsaysay. The very existence of the Department of Agrarian Reform and the Land Bank of the Philippines was a direct result of their efforts. When martial law was declared in 1972, several leaders, members, and supporters decided to go their own separate ways. The bulk of the members of the FFF decided to support the martial law government of President Ferdinand E. Marcos, and specifically its radical land reform program under Presidential Decree Number 27, or the Tenant Emancipation Act. During that period, the FFF was again instrumental in the issuance of various decrees protecting the rights of farmers under agrarian reform. It was also during this time that the cooperative activities of the FFF mushroomed and expanded to various parts of the country. Bio-cooperatives were organized into provincial primaries, and the FFCI decentralized into the Federation of Free Farmers Cooperatives, Inc., or FFFCI, which remains today as one of the most reputable agricultural cooperative federations in the country. After the EDSA Revolution, the government under President CORAZON built upon and expanded the scope of the agrarian reform program, started long ago by Quezon, strengthened by Magsaysay, further moved forward by Macapagal, and expanded greatly by Marcos. Most of the agrarian-related laws that have been enacted were maintained, cited, and improved upon by succeeding administrations. Throughout the 11 presidents who ruled the country since the FFF's founding, its work to protect and uphold the rights of the farmer was unbroken. As presidents came and went, the FFF remained where it had always been and shall always be, beside the Filipino farmer. And so, as the same kerosene that first sparked to life on October 25, 1953, burns brightly as ever, so too does the FFF's call to the beloved pillar of the soil remain the same. Farmers of the Philippines, unite! United, you can lift your eyes with hope, for the future is in your hands.
Palakpakan po natin ang Federation of Free Farmers. At ngayon, inaanyayahan po natin ang kalihim Conrado M. Estrella III ng Kagawaran ng Reformang Pansakahan upang ipakilala ang ating panauhing pandangal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Thank you very much. Maraming salamat sa ating Agrarian Reform Secretary Conrado Estrella, The third? Kailangan mo sabihin yung the third. Dahil yung lolo niya nag-start ng please, take a seat. The officials and members of the Federation of Free Farmers, led by another lifetime worker in support of our farmers and our fishers. Aking nakasama sa 9th Congress nung siya ay sectoral representative. Dahil wala pang party list nun. Kaya meron kaming sectoral representative, si Chairman Leo Montemayor. Ang ating kasamahan sa pamahalaan, our partners, of course, in the private sector, who are playing a very important part, are in the development of our agricultural capabilities. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with great pleasure that I join you as we commemorate the 70th founding anniversary of the Federation of Free Farmers. We celebrate today 7 fruitful decades of your long-standing cooperation and partnership with government in sustaining development in the areas of agri-fisheries, agrarian reform, and agricultural cooperatives, amongst others. Through your programs and initiatives, you have effectively elevated and empowered the voices of our small farmers, our fishers, and rural workers across the nation. This noble pursuit is the very essence of what my father, President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., strongly believed in, and a belief that I have certainly inherited. This is why it is worth recalling how we championed the cause of the Federation of Free Farmers and expressed this unwavering support for this organization. It was because you shared a common goal of advancing social reform and rural development in our country that this partnership was strengthened. Indeed, this is the kind of uplifting synergy that we in government anticipate from our private sector partners, who ardently champion social justice and actively contribute to our nation's socio-economic advancement. So I urge all the members of the FFF to keep up the legacy of the founding members, keep it alive, stay true to the mission of uplifting all the lives of every Filipino rural worker. In line with that collective mission, I wish to reaffirm one of the top priorities of this administration, which is the enhancement of our agricultural productivity, the guarantee of our food supply, the affordability of our food supply, and our lessening dependence on importation. This includes pursuing policies that will support and protect the overall welfare of our farmers, our fishers, our manufacturers, and the consuming public. This administration is steering the growth of our fisheries and farming industries with urgency. With a substantial budget of 85.88 billion pesos for 2023 and a proposed budget of 92.4 billion pesos for 2024, I am optimistic that we can propel the modernization of our agri-fisheries sector. Among the many endeavors that we are pursuing is the strengthening of the various associations and cooperatives so that they can provide business and investment opportunities to their beneficiaries. This will definitely elevate the standard of living, improve the lives of the farmers and our fishers and that of their families. Let me also mention that as of 2023, the Department of Agriculture has allocated 4.73 billion pesos as an investment for the large-scale agriculture and fishery mechanization and modernization. You have my assurance that the government is striving to implement efficient mechanization strategies to reduce post-harvest losses and to ensure the optimal yield at an affordable cost. Another priority is to increase the exportation of our agricultural products, which has been an essential driver in the competitiveness of our economy. All of these plans, these programs, prioritizations are now being undertaken because of your constant cooperation with the government and your genuine service towards our farmers and our local communities. you have solidified your presence over the past 7 decades, and I eagerly anticipate an even deeper collaboration given our shared commitment. I thus enjoin all men and women of FFF to continuously take part in supporting and empowering our farmers and fisherfolk. Malaki pong trabaho ang ating hinaharap dahil kailangan po nating ayusin ang buong sistema ng agrikultura na napabayaan ng matagal na. Mula pa siguro nung nagsimula ang agricultural reform nung panahon pa ng aking ama. Ngayon ay maraming ng pagbabago. Nag-iba na ang mundo, nakailang ikot na ang mundo. Kaya kailangan po tayo naman ay kailangan tingnan natin kung ano ang mga pangangailangan hindi ng ating mga magsasaka, ng ating mangingisda, upang maging mas maganda ang kanilang buhay. Dahil ang madalas nating marinig ay sinasabi natin kailangan nating itaas ang ating mga yield, kailangan nating itaas ang ating harvest at ang productivity natin. Totoo yan. Totoo po yan. Kailangan po natin gawin yan. Ngunit huwag po natin kakalimutan na dapat naman ay ang hanap buhay ng ating mga magsasaka at ang ating mga mangingisda ay maalagaan at mapaganda dahil yan po ang hangarin nating lahat para sa ating mga magsasaka at sa ating mga mangingisda. Kaya po, ito po ay napakalaking trabaho. Kaya kailangan po natin, hindi kaya ng pamahalaan na nag-iisa na gawin lahat ito. Kaya kailangan po natin ang tulong ninyo, kailangan namin ang sipag ninyo, kailangan namin ang advice ninyo. Dahil kayo ang nakaharap sa mga problema ng agrikultura na dinadaanan natin ngayon. Kaya po ay asahan po ninyo ang ating pamahalaan, ang inyong gobyerno ay nandito po upang gawin ang lahat, upang tulungan ang ating mga magsasaka na makapag-produce ng magandang ani, makapangisda ng sapat para sa ating mga kababayan at may pagbili naman ito sa presyo na abot kaya ng ating mga mamamayan. At kasabay din dyan, kailangan naman may magandang hanap buhay ang ating mga magsasaka at ang ating mga fisherfolk. And that's why I look forward to your endeavors that will contribute to our shared vision of Bagong Pilipinas and help us march towards achieving a food and nutrition secure Philippines. Once again, happy 70th founding anniversary. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikiisa at serbisyo. Mabuhay ang FFF, mabuhay ang mga magsasaka at mangingisdang Pilipino. Maraming salamat po at magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Maraming salamat po, mahal na Pangulo. Sa pagkakataong ito, inaanyayahan po namin ang ating mahal na Pangulo para sa isang group picture kasama ang ating mga farmers.
Inaanyayahan po natin ang ating mga farmers at mga visitors na pwede po tayong lumapit sa unahan. Okay, at the count of 3, 1. entry. 1, 2, 3. Maraming salamat po, mahal na Pangulo. At dito na po nagtatapos ang ating programa. Mga kababayan, ang Pangulo ng Republika ng